Hi Stampers, it's Lisa with Queen Bee Creations, and I'm here with today's live presentation. And I'm saying live in quotation marks because I'm not actually live. I'm actually away at our annual in-person retreat. We're doing our spring 2023 Royal Retreat this weekend. But I didn't want you guys to miss out on our regular Thursday class and this adorable card we're going to make. So let's get started. I'm going to move you down onto my desk and show you this beautiful card. And it's using a new color called Azure Afternoon. So I have our 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4 base. I'm going to match up the ends. And then squeeze back into the fold. That's how I make them even. I'll sometimes even use the edge of the paper trimmer to butt it up against to make sure that the ends are even, although this time it's really not going to be necessary because we're going to trim off part of the front of our card. I also need another piece that's going to go on the inside, and this is 5 3/8 by 8 1/4. Because I needed it to be just 1/8 of an inch smaller, so it's going to fit inside this way, a little bit smaller. And then because I needed 1/8 of an inch each direction, it's actually 1/4 inch smaller. So it's scored at 4 1/8 and then folded in half. That's going to go inside. We also needed a piece of this beautiful trio foil cardstock. It's kind of a specialty paper, and it's really pretty, and we're going to use that as our accent both outside and inside, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that in one cut using the Around the Bend dies, and we're going to use the Around the Bend stamp set to go with it. Again, like I mentioned on Monday, this is something that they retired supposedly, but what they retired was the red rubber version of this stamp set. You can still get the photopolymer. So we're going to go ahead and use that. Like I said, this is Azure Afternoon, which is one of the new colors from our color refresh. I'm going to show you in my little sampler book here. I sell this on my website. It's a little sample of each of the cardstocks. And I wanted to show you all of these beautiful blues that we have going on here. Two of them are in colors. We have the Starry Sky and Orchid Oasis that are falling in here. That's these two here. We have Night of Navy, Blueberry Bushel, which is a new returning in color. Boho Blue is just a new color. Misty Moonlight. And then here is Azure Afternoon. And so it's very similar to Tahitian Tide, but darker. So I wanted to show you that so you can see the difference. I'm figuring maybe on the computer you're not going to notice quite how different it is unless I showed you the little swatches. But it is very pretty. And we're going to use those dies, like I said, to create this edge. I'm going to take this die here to die cut the front of this. And then I'm going to use this, which is kind of the same shape as far as the swirl, to cut the foil. So let's get started. I'm going to bring in the larger of our cut and emboss machines. I try to use the smaller one on camera, but because we need the whole 6 inches, we're going to go ahead and use this one. And I'm going to take this die, and you'll notice it's got the stitching and the straight line down here. That's actually going to cut. There is no cut up here, so it does an edge, as I was saying. And I'm going to bring it down. Let's see, maybe about that far. I'm going to go ahead and roll this through. And then I'm going to roll it back. And then you probably want to use the die brush end of our Take Your Pick tool. With the die still in there, you would roll over this with the die brush and it would push out all those little pieces that are going to make confetti on my desk. And then while this is here, let's go ahead with this piece. And I'm going to do it about the same in that I want this arch to be the same distance, kind of. So I'm just setting that there just so I can get my die in place. You may want to hold that there with washi tape or Post-it note or something along those lines. There's that. And then I wanted a little tiny accent piece of this Azure Afternoon. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer and just trim off a little section. Okay. So, like I said, probably should have had the die brush on hand. I apologize that we're taking some time to punch this out. But like I said, I'm away at retreat right now. We are this year using the Beautiful Balloons bundle. Actually, the whole suite, but everybody who attends my retreat gets that bundle. And then we're going to make 8 make and takes. I have several pillow gifts and all kinds of fun stuff going on. If you can't attend one of my live retreats, I invite you to join one of our quarterly online retreats. We're doing our next one June 17th. And we're using the Fresh as a Daisy suite this time. You would register now. The first week of June, I would be sending out invoices, so there's no payment required quite yet. Then you would pay the first week of June. June 17th, we would all meet online on Zoom and then play some games in a Facebook group. We would have written tutorials and the video tutorials, and it's something you can go back and revisit after the fact. But Laura and I have a lot of fun doing those, and I would love it if you would join us. Whether you are in the United States or in Canada, we can do both because Laura's in Canada and I'm in the US. If you're not in either, let me know and I can sell you the tutorial bundle after the fact. But it's always more fun to play with us in person. Okay, so this is going to show you how that's going to fit on the front of our card. So I'm going to go ahead and use some adhesive. Attach that there, and then, ooh, I'm not straight, am I? Kind of straight on there, but I'm not on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim off this edge. It's not very much. Nobody but me is going to notice it, but I'm going to go ahead and trim off this little piece hanging over. And like I said, they're not going to know because we're going to come in with this and we're going to cover that right up. So that's going to go inside. I want to stamp our sentiment here. So let's pull out our coordinating ink. This is my absolute favorite part of Stampin' Up! Is that if you have the cardstock, the marker, the pen, the Stampin' blend in one color, it's all going to totally match. And that looks kind of bubbly. Let's see. And some scrap paper. Okay, so when the pad is a little too inky, when they're brand new, they tend to have a lot puddled at the top. I use the back of a spoon and just push that down in there. Then when I do this again, it's not as bubbly. We're going to have a better impression. Stick that right there. And we are good to glue this. And I'm using more adhesive than normal because this front of this card is going to get some movement. I don't want my card to fall apart. There we go. Now if I wanted to, I could come in and trim off that. It's probably not necessary. It's only bugging me. But let's move forward. Okay, I also used the same dies to cut out our little daisy. And I just think this blue and white and yellow are gorgeous together. And then, so this is Basic White, Daffodil Delight, Azure Afternoon, and this is Granny Apple Green. I want to make sure I got the ink off my fingers. I always have a baby wipe close by, for just that reason. Okay, I'm going to adhere this inside. This is what I normally do, is kind of an inch on either corner. There we go. And we can go ahead and put this across the bottom. You may choose to use liquid glue because of the curve here. Might get some better traction. And then it's going to need a little bit of a trim. So I maybe could have put this on before gluing it to the inside of the card, and then I could have adhered it and trimmed off from the back side. That would have been smarter. And the first time I did this, I actually cut it really close to the edge. So when I put it on the inside, it wasn't actually tall enough. And so I ended up having to put this strip over it because I added a 1/4 inch to the bottom. But then I kind of liked it. So this time I'm doing it on purpose. So we're just going to stick that down with some of our liquid glue. I'm not covering up a seam. I'm being artistic this time. Oh, I wonder if this is going to be too long. Yep, just by a tad. So again, this glue is very powerful. It does not require much. And then I'm going to use this same sentiment, this "You Are a Blessing," because I thought it follows this curve of our die. So let's bring back that Azure Afternoon ink. And then we're ready to just assemble our flower on the front. So I'm going to use our mini glue dots to put this on. If you're going to deliver the card in person, I would maybe suggest using a mini glue dot, or not a mini glue dot, a mini Stampin' Dimensional. I'm using the glue dot because I only want one layer of dimensionals for the mail, because more than one thickness of dimensionals and you have to pay extra postage. And I take a little piece of ribbon and I tie it on here because inevitably this might get, knocked on the floor, and I don't want the entire thing to unravel. So that's just a little tip with that. And like I said, this is where I'm going to stick my dimensions, is on the back of this. So the whole flower is popped up. And there we go. There's our quick and easy card. I hope you like it and you give it a try. And then come back and visit me again on Monday. I will be home from retreat. And so then I can start sharing with you the beautiful balloons bundle, which is what we will be using at retreat. I couldn't use it beforehand because I didn't want to spoil the surprise for all our attendees. But once we're back, I can show you all of the things that we made and share one of those with you. So come back next week on Monday at 2:30 to play with beautiful balloons. Thanks. Bye.